No matter what game you're into, terrain makes the tabletop look so much better. In this post, we are going to look at terrain made by 3 excellent Canadian companies with great shipping rates throughout North America. For my American friends, the prices are in Canadian dollars, so that means it's an even better deal for you. Specifically, we are looking at Cardboard Dungeon Games, XOLK, and 6 Squared Studios. If you're interested in just one company, there are quick links in the description below. My name is Jay, and you're watching Must Contain Minis. I do reviews and showcases of miniatures and miniature related products. Now let's get into it. We're going to start by going to the Must Contain Minis website, mustcontainminis.com. Here we have a resource called the Canadian Miniatures Gaming Companies page. You can find that on the top left of the menu, or you can also go to Community Resources and it's there as the first link, Canadian Miniatures Gaming Companies. When I click that, I get a listing of all of the companies that I know of in Canada that produce their own products and have a decent online store to go with it. So when we go down, we can see just some of the rules about how to get on the list, and then we get into the different companies that are on there. We have companies that make full systems, we have companies that make just miniatures, and we have companies that make terrain or rule sets. So one of the ones that we'll be looking at today is Cardboard Dungeon Games. They make their own terrain and they also make their own miniatures and rule sets. When you come here, we have links directly to the company itself, as well as a sponsorship page on Must Contain Minis. Now, sponsorship page doesn't mean that they've given us money. What it means is that they have given us products for review in the past. Now I'm going to go up and I'm going to use one of the quick links here. So I can go to terrain because all the companies we're looking at today are terrain related. So first off, we'll be looking at XOLK. And XOLK builds some really great MDF kits. We will also be looking at 6 Squared Studios. They build some awesome resin terrain and they're known for their MDF bases. We will start with Cardboard Dungeon Games. Now let's head to their website and take a look. Right now, the Cardboard Dungeon Games website is very festive because of the holidays. When we scroll down, we see they have a Boxing Day sale on right now. If you get in on time, you can save 15% on everything. They also talk about their loot program that they have, some new games that they have coming in, what different products you can get, and also they have a coming soon section including Cyberpunk Red, and they also have their own miniatures game coming up soon that you can test out or play in 2021. So let's go back up and take a look at their menu system. So in the menu, way over here, you get all the different products that they have. They make their own battle mats, so you can get them in 6 foot by 4 foot or 4 foot by 4 foot. Now I asked for a 4 foot by 4 foot, so you'll be seeing that in this video today. I got the Icebound one and he sent me that for a review. Now they also have other game mats that you can take a look at. Again, these are in Canadian dollars, so for my American friends, your prices will be significantly less because of the exchange rates. Also, if you go to the menu, we see that he has clearance items. These are some mats that he has in stock that are no longer the main ones they sell. So you can buy these old stock mats for just $60 Canadian, and these are double-sided neoprene. So I think that's around between 40 and 50 American. So you can get a mat pretty affordably if you go through this company. Now, they also have plenty of games available. I go and look at this all the time. They have their own games, which is under CBG. So they make the Carniverse miniatures game, which is a lot of fun. It's kind of like Osprey Games Last Night by Ash Barker. And in it, you play as a warband trying to survive in a world of dinosaurs. Going back to the menu, you can see that they also have plenty of other games that they don't make, including Drop Zone Commander at amazing prices. This is a good game too. I haven't played the second edition since TD Combat took it over, but the first edition I had a lot of fun with. And the starter set for 2 players is just 70 bucks Canadian, so very affordable, $40 for a starter army. So great prices over here. Again, going back to games, He's got Dungeons and Dragons, Elder Scrolls, Fallout. This is another one that I personally want to get in on sometime. I do have a friend that bought into it, so maybe I can play his game. Both the role-playing game that goes with the miniatures game and the miniatures game itself are of interest to me, and you got lots of cool miniatures that go with that too. They're all available through Cardboard Dungeon Games, and they have good shipping rates in Canada and the USA. Spend $125, you get it for free, or if you're under that, it's a flat rate of $10, except for the gaming mats, which are a little more expensive because they're harder to ship. Now we're going to go back to the games again. He also has Marvel Crisis Protocol, a game called Mythos. He has Rumble Slam by TT Combat again, and The Drowned Earth. On top of that, he has miniatures. He's licensed some miniatures to cast himself, so these ones are cast right here in Ontario, and he'll ship them out to anywhere in North America or wherever you buy them and have him send them to. He also has tons of Reaper miniatures that you can buy. Next, we're going to take a look at his paints. If you want coat d'arms paints in North America, he is a dealer of that. Finally, this is what I've bought a lot of myself, is I bought a lot of his terrain. And his terrain he brings in from TT Combat, and he has many lines of their terrain. He also has the terrain crates and Warlock tiles from other companies available. But the city streets, this is TT Combat, and I like this terrain just for my gaming table. I have this cargo ship that sold out. It's lots of fun. Eventually I'll do a posting about that. It is built. I just have to take some pictures with models on it so I can showcase that a little better. So that's the Cardboard Dungeons Games website. Now let's take a look at the mat that he shipped me for review. This is the Icebound mat that he sent me. What I want to show you is the texture of the mat. Check out that frozen lake and the snowdrifts. Zooming out, you can see that the mat is flat, but you can really feel the texture and the flowiness of the snowdrifts and the terrain on the table. And here's the other side of the neoprene mat, a snow-covered cobblestone city. Let's zoom in and take a closer look at those details. That's really sweet. Now let's flip over the mat and toss a couple of minis on there to see how appealing the mat looks on just its own with a few items on top. For those of you wondering, the trees in the background are from Michael's, a Canadian craft store. I believe that you have those stores in the US as well. Next up, we have a Quebec company called XOLK. These guys make excellent MDF terrain, and if you know a store owner, they're always looking for retail partners as well. So we're on their English landing page right now, and you can see that if you order $250 worth of stuff from them, they will ship it to you for free. On the landing page, you can scroll down and you can take a look at their featured products. You can even sign up for their newsletter. But today we're going to go back up here and go straight into the shop. They have items in 28mm, 15mm, they have bases and tools. They also have 8mm, and it looks like they're getting into 6mm if that's your scale. They also have Woodland Scenics if you want to jazz up your bases and make your terrain look even nicer. So let's go right into the 28mm and take a look at some of the things that they have. If you're into sci-fi, such as Warhammer 40k or Necromunda or anything like that, here are some items that might help you out. So they have canisters, they have catwalks, they have platforms. So there's lots of fun stuff you can do. They also have the Gothic style tall building ruins if that's what you're into. This bridge here, I think this is a pretty cool piece. I wouldn't mind having this in my collection myself. And on it you can fit a full-size Land Raider. So there's a picture of the Land Raider. And there's a picture from over top. Again, these prices are in Canadian funds. And you can see here that they have downloadable content. They have a French version PDF, so the FR, and they also have an English or an Anglais version in the ANG. So you just click on the PDF and they'll give you some nice directions on how to build their terrain. So there's nothing left for guessing. Now going back to their website, I want to show you their urban war zone. So this urban war zone is something that I'm interested in. I wouldn't mind having a tabletop that would be good for moderns, World War II, and maybe even an XCOM style game. And I think building a table with this type of terrain would do that. So they have some really nice products in here, and when you click on it and zoom in, there's pretty good prices on them. They just spray painted it with textured spray paint. It looks like a single layer MDF, but they look like they're going to be good sized buildings. Again, they have the instructions in English and French on how to build it. This one is actually named in English rather than the ANG of the previous one that we looked at. And you can see here that they have some interior details of the stairs and blown out holes. Now the collection that I do have is their Old Europe collection, and this stuff is even nicer than what I just showed you. This has interior details and it has exterior details. This kit here used to be more expensive, and it's the most versatile kit I own. There's a number of pieces in there, and you can set them up to build one building, or you can change them up and you can use them as individual pieces all over the board, kind of as scattered terrain. So I use them like this. I don't have them on a single base. I have them like that, and I can put them wherever I want on my gaming board. And that's coming in at $25 Canadian. So that's a very nice price for a very functional and versatile piece. So I'm going to go back to the Old Europe stuff again. And I'm going to point out this one here. This Cottage in Ruins is actually what brought me to the company. I bought this one and I was so impressed with the value that I got for this piece that I wanted more. And XOLK sent me plenty of products to review after that, and they did not disappoint. So this is only $11 Canadian, so $10.99. And you got the interior details there. You have some blown out planks as extra little pieces. I just put them in there scatter style. I can sometimes put them in the building, sometimes I put them outside of the building. It's a really nice piece to have on the tabletop. Now going back again to the Old Europe collection, there's several other items as well. This wooden bridge is nice. I've reviewed that on the website. Same with these walls. You can get hedgerow frames if you don't feel like building your own. There's plenty of houses. If you look down here, you'll see that they're even getting into pre-colored kits. So you don't even have to paint these ones, presumably. I don't own these ones yet, but it looks like these ones come with all the colors already pre-painted, kind of like other companies do. And you can see here they have nice interior details as well. Now heading back to the Old Europe, I'm going to point out some other buildings. This is my favorite in the collection that I own. This one did not come pre-painted, but it's a blown out Norman house, and it just looks fantastic. Let's take a look at their pictures here. So look at that building. These pieces are loose. You can put them wherever you want. The shingles are there. It's just a nice kit all together, and the interior details are excellent. This is how it looks before you paint it up. You can see the stairwell is really nicely done. I have a review of this on Must Contain Minis. There will be a link below to my XOLK section of my website, so if you want to take a look at their products closer, you can. But take a look at that. Like just an excellent little terrain kit, and it just looks awesome on the tabletop. Paints up nicely too. Here are some of those buildings I just showed you from that Old Europe section on XOLK. A top-down look to give you an idea of the size of the pieces. Those are 28mm frost grade miniatures down below. If you know how to pull focus on your camera, this terrain also makes for great photographic backgrounds, no matter what your game is. Here we have Frostgrave, Age of Sigmar, Moderns, Pulp, or Cthulhu related, or even 40K. Personally, I use the XOLK collection mostly for bolt action and Frostgrave. You really could use their stuff for pretty much anything. If you want to learn more about XOLK, there's a link to my XOLK section of Must Contain Minis in the description below. Now on to 6 Squared Studios. These guys are known for MDF bases and scattered terrain. Keep your eyes on them though, because I expect they'll be getting into bigger MDF kits and 3D printed terrain soon. Now let's take a look at their website. Here we are, the 6 Squared Studios website. This is a company that focused on the convention scene earlier, but we all know how conventions worked out in 2020. They didn't go. Every convention that I wanted to go to was canceled last year. That said, 6 Squared Studios does have a web presence, so let's take a look at what they have. On their main page, they do have their new releases, their featured products, as well as a listing of their best sellers. When you go back up and you go to the product listing, you can see that they have bases, which is what they're known for. You can get bases of all sizes and shapes. In fact, I put in a big order at the start of our lockdown back in March to buy bases for a bunch of miniatures that I was getting specifically from Wargames Atlantic. Now, you can also buy other accessories such as gaming trays for movement. They also have paint racks. I've reviewed one of those paint racks on Must Contain Minis. They have a whole bunch of 28mm terrain that you can look at, and we're going to go through some of that right now. So as we saw under their earlier products, they do have the roads and rivers, but they also have crates, barrels, and sacks. So we're going to click on that and take a look. They have a whole bunch of different items. Unfortunately, their pictures don't do the products justice. Again, this is a company that focused on the convention scene, and they were really good on the convention scene, and their website is being built up. This huge crate keg I have, and I like it a lot. I also have these barrels painted. All 3 of these items here are reviewed on my Must Contain Minis website. There will be a link to their category in my description below. We're going to go back to the 28mm terrain again, and we're going to go into the categories again just to see what they have. So they also have scattered terrain, and they have lots of that. So they have a Chaos Altar, they have Crater Pack. This is another one that sees action on my Frostgrave tables, on my sci-fi tables, and on my World War II tables. They have Haystacks, a Firepit, which you will see coming up further on this video that I have in my collection. All sorts of nice little terrain. And they also have like an extra large crater. If you're looking at the prices, these are Canadian dollars. The prices are really good. This guy here, I believe he's a 28mm stand-in. So that is a huge crater. You can fit a few guys in there if you wanted to. Underneath, they show you related products that you might also be interested in. These fences I have as well. I'm currently working on building them. Again, their pictures don't do justice, but that is what it is. So you can set these fences up either in a civilian style without these top pieces here, or you can set them up in a military style with those top pieces, and then they give you some string that can go across that looks like barbed wire. So you can set them up in either civilian or military style chain link fence. Back to the products, they also have some buildings as well. So we're going to go to the fantasy and ancient buildings right now. And you can see they have a modular guard tower. This tower here is actually 3D printed. So they have a little farm of 3D printers, and they can print off 3D terrain for you, and they license things off. So they're licensed to print this for you, and you can buy it from them, and it's got multiple layers. I saw it at a convention. It is a nice looking kit. Again, we're going to head back to the same place where we were, back to the ancient buildings and fantasy buildings. This primitive hut is also a nice piece. The top part comes off, so you can put miniatures in there. It's a little short in there, so you might not be able to put the lid back on with the miniatures in there, but you can put miniatures inside the building if you want. So I also have a review of that on Must Contain Minis. We're going to skip over some of the terrain now, and we're going to go to 28mm figures. So again, they license figures off from other companies that they print. So if you want some fantasy figures, you can go in here and you can choose out some of the miniatures. These are mostly larger miniatures. They're scaled for 28mm. This bear here in armor really interests me. Let's take a look at that a little closer. So they tell you here that they'll give you a 50mm base with him, and that the miniature is close to 60mm tall. So that's a pretty tall miniature, but it is a bear in armor. So that's pretty cool, and that's going to make for some fun in your 28mm games, whether it's Frostgrave or some other game where you can put this guy in there. And also, you can see here that 6 Squared Studios' upcoming game Crossroads. So these miniatures that they have licensed, it looks like they're planning to put this in their own game in the future. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. Now back to the terrain for a little bit. I want to show you the walls and barricades. Again, there are these fences here, but I want to show you these sandbags. These sandbags are excellent. I have these reviewed on Must Contain Minis, and the value that they give you for the price is just superb. That's $350 or $349 Canadian for a nice bunker, and that's a 28mm size miniature. So you can fit in a nice 5-man squad in there easy, no problem. And you can get it blown out, you can get an L shape, you can get the curve there. You can also get the straight piece. Now again, their pieces are much nicer than they look on the web. So this steel defense wall, I'm sorry 6 Squared Studios, but your website does not do justice for how nice your products really are. I'm going to show you in the video right after this how nice this bunker is. It's $4 or $3.99 Canadian. Again, this is Canadian funds, so for my American friends, it's going to be even cheaper for you. But when you click on it, we'll make it large. So there's your 28mm stand-in, and there's a nice steel wall bunker for people to hide behind. Now let's head back to my pictures and take a look at how this bunker looks when I painted it up. Now I do apologize, I just realized that I was calling this steel defense wall a bunker while I was going through the website. I was also calling their barricades bunkers, so I do apologize for using the wrong word. But this is how I painted my steel defense wall from 6 Squared Studios. And here's the back of the steel defense wall. Now for the interest of scale, let's toss a Space Marine in front of it and behind it to see how it looks. Next up, we have the tent and the Firepit by 6 Squared Studios. The Firepit is currently available on their website, whereas the tent you'll have to ask for a special order to get that at this time. A look from a different angle. Now let's zoom in on that tent. The tent from the side. And the back of the tent from a nicer angle. Now let's zoom in on the Firepit. And here it is. Now let's toss in a few minis and see how it looks with those. For the purpose of scale, here are 3 Frostgrave minis and 1 Age of Sigmar mini. And the same setup at more of a model's eye view. Next up, we have resin tires by 6 Squared Studios. This again is another special order if you want something like this. A look from the top down, and as them all set up individually. You can see here that there are a few stacks of different sizes, so there's a couple of tires that are just 1, a stack of 3, and a whole bunch of stacks of 4. These tires are going to fit in with a whole host of genres of wargaming, from sci-fi to modern and World War II. Thank you for joining me in this showcase video of terrain by 3 excellent Canadian miniature gaming companies. The companies that we looked at again today were Cardboard Dungeon Games, XOLK, and 6 Squared Studios. Remember, you can get to them from the Canadian Miniatures Gaming Companies page on Must Contain Minis. I guess you could always Google those companies too if you'd rather check them out that way, or you can use the links in the description below this video, because I'm going to leave links there for all of these companies as well as all of the website pages on must-contain minis related to these products, or at least to these companies. So until next time, happy gaming everyone, and please subscribe to this channel.